Hey everybody, it's Ryan McAllister from the Grumpy Guy Show. Tonight is episode 19. It's a placebo, but worse. Tonight we have a bit of a correction from last episode relating to helmets, as well as designer pills, and just complaints about people in general.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Grumpy Guy Show. I'm Derek McAllister.
And I'm Ryan McAllister.
That's right. We figured it out, or at least we hope we did. So tonight we got a few topics for you, and I'm going to start out with a correction from a couple of weeks ago regarding bicycle helmets.
Ooh.
So the guy I was picking on last week, my neighbor, he's actually kind of funny. He checks up on some things that we say, as because he listens. He checks up, and when I get something wrong, he likes to point it out. But it's fine. It's funny. Yeah, it's all in good jest and everything. But with the bicycle helmets, apparently I was wrong, and it is not a law for adults to wear a bicycle helmet in New York State. Unless, I can't remember the terminology now. I'm going to have to look it up. But there was a specific term that, they had to actually wear it. And here it is. So,
About the mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, it is. But
crap that normal people can't understand.
Yeah, a working cyclist needs to wear a helmet. I'm like, what the hell? What's a working cyclist?
That's my question.
The best that I can figure, now, up here in central New York, it's not such a big thing because, traffic isn't so bad. But down in New York City, they have a lot of delivery drivers that aren't actually drivers. They're riders. They ride their bicycle for delivering. So my assumption is it's referring to them. But, that's an assumption. Yeah. But this kind of leads to a bigger problem that there is. You see, all of these politicians are constantly making new laws, more and more laws. And, you hear about them being proposed and you never hear anything more. And when you do, it's kind of through a grapevine as to whether or not it's passed. And, you kind of wonder, we're having a hard time following along with this. Politicians are having a hard time following along with it, which is evidenced by the fact that politicians felt the need to create a law saying that you couldn't text and drive at the same time, when there's already a law on the books that says you cannot do anything that distracts you while you're driving. But at any rate...
Well, that's because of how stupid people are.
Yeah. But at any rate, so we've got all these laws that everybody's expected to know. How are our police officers expected to know all of these laws all the time? It's ridiculous. That's why you're never going to see... Yeah, you're never going to see a cop walk over to a kid and say, "Where's your parent? You're not wearing a helmet. I'm giving them a ticket." No, they got better things to do. And some of these laws are they're ridiculously stupid. But at any rate, at some point we've got to stop creating new laws and just enforce the laws that we already have.
Having laws.
Yeah, I honestly think that 90% of it is really truly based on the fact that they've got to justify their job as a legislature.
Exactly.
They can't do anything else.
They got to justify their job, and that's how they get reelected.
Yep. And they come up with these stupid things like, let's raise the minimum wage because it's going to save people from poverty. Yeah, it doesn't. But at any rate, so I believe that you've got our next topic.
I do. It's about college. And well, it doesn't necessarily only apply to college, but it's mostly about college. So, I live in this suite with, like, 5 or so rooms, 4 or 5,
You still
give or
don't know.
take. I've lost count on just about everything that I need to keep track of. Anyway, these people they just bring people over randomly, and they're loud as all hell. It's a miracle that I get any sleep.
That's what your RA is supposed to be for.
The RAs are super relaxed around here. And well, they're usually in their rooms off doing their own thing.
Yeah.
So the RAs aren't much help around here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've gathered as far as the the problem with a suite type of setup like you're in. That once you get inside the suite, the RA really can't hear much or see much or anything along those lines. So how are they truly going to help?
They can't.
Yeah.
Not really. They can't do anything.
You look at when I was in college. I was in a traditional style dorm where you had a room that you shared with 1 or 2 people, and then there was a single bathroom for the entire floor. And the RAs made sense there because your room had a door directly connected to the hallway, so the RAs could actually hear, if there was something going on that they needed to look at. But, the suites, they always used to say the suites on our campus was much more for like a retirement home for RAs because they didn't do anything. But, there's just a lot of strange things with what they think is best as far as campuses and campus living. I haven't figured it all out.
I don't think I'll ever figure it out. So confusing.
Yeah, it's really confusing as to why they think things are best. But I don't know. So you really got to come up with topics that go in depth a little bit more there, bud.
I'll try.
We can only beat that one to death so much. Yeah. Well, that's a problem that you have when you're actually enjoying things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things just don't bother you so much. So the next topic that I have has to do with people being extremely inconsiderate. And, it has to do with the way that a lot of parents are bringing up their kids, especially kids your age, your general age.
Not necessarily kids anymore, but still.
Yeah, but, from like 25 on down, people don't teach their children respect.
No, they don't.
This is something that really bothers me. Now, for any of our listeners that don't know, the back of our property is right up against state land. There's a stream that goes through there that's obviously open for fishing most of the year. We have people...
Or as some would call it, a crick.
Yeah. A crick. But, there's people that also swim in there. So they seem to think that when they come up on this side of the stream,
I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, they figure they can just walk right through our yard.
Called it.
You know, they give me a dirty look when I say, "What are you doing?" Well, I'm going over to the road. Then go around, go through the weeds. Don't go through my yard. Oh, this is your yard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm saying it's my yard.
It's a joke how people think that they can do whatever they want.
It is. You know, so the other day I was sitting out.
And they think you're doing something wrong, which makes it worse.
Yeah. So the other day I was sitting out in a room that we have here in the house that, you know, it overlooks the side yard, lots of windows, and we had them open because it was a nice day, you know, perfect temperature. So rather than running the AC, open the windows, air the house out before winter comes around. You know, so some kid decided he was going to ride his bike through the yard. And of course I got up. I said, "What are you doing?" "I'm going fishing." "Get out of my yard." So then he turns around somewhat respectfully, gets out on the road, turns around and flips me off. I'm like,
if I were you, I would have just given him the bird right back.
You know, I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Little SOB deserves it.
You know, so I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to put a fence up along the road so that people understand this is my property.
Exactly.
You know, but I shouldn't have to do that. People should be teaching somebody, okay, if the lawn is mowed and it's not a park, then it's probably somebody's property.
Mm-hmm.
They can't be bothered to do
that.
Yeah. And they can't be bothered to do that. And why can't they? Well, in part because, you know, kids are just a thing you do. They don't have children, you know, because they want to have children and they want to spend time with them. They have children because, well, it was either an accident that happened or all my friends were having kids, so I thought it was time for me to have kids. You know, so it becomes a burden. And it's really annoying. These people really, really should stop and think. You know, and it's not all on these people. Some of it is the way that the United States is as far as work ethic. You know, you're not considered to have a very good work ethic unless you're putting in 60 to 80 hours a week.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I shouldn't have to do that. You know, being salaried is supposed to be being a salaried employee is supposed to be a way to not screw somebody over. It's supposed to be a way to give a balance between the employee's needs and the employer's needs. But what's happened is there is no balance anymore. It's all about the employer. The employer wants to have as few employees as possible so that they can have the biggest profits possible. And what does that mean? Well, that means the executives are putting in 40 to 50 hours a week. And a lot of that is spent, you know, schmoozing with people, I guess you'd say. Yeah, but, you know, a lot of times what they're doing is they're talking with vendors. And where are they talking with vendors? On the golf course. Oh, I'm working out a new deal with the vendor. Okay, so you're spending time on the golf course working out this deal, when truthfully you should be in the office working out the deal with lawyers present. But, you know, no. So, you know, the executives, they do this stuff, and then they make these decisions about changes that need to happen, and they want them to happen right away. And they don't care about what it means for the person at the bottom of the stack that actually has to do the work. All they care about is, I made a decision. It makes me important. Look at me. I'm steering this company in the right direction. So then the guy who's actually got to implement all
Supposedly
these
the right
changes,
direction.
yeah. So the guy or the girl at the bottom of the stack who has to implement these changes and has a deadline that's completely and totally unrealistic, they're putting in 80 hours a week just to meet that deadline. So the executive can actually put another notch on his resume to say, look what I did for this company. Well, no, you didn't do anything. You went to the golf course and you worked your 40-hour week, and then you went home and you spent time with your family, while this person over here is missing everything for their kids. They actually wanted kids to spend time with them, not because they were a tax write-off. But they can't go and spend time with their kids. They can't go and watch their kids play sports. They can't go and watch their kids in band. They can't do anything. And why? Well, because the executive said, I want this changed and I want it done right away. You know, it's happening more and more. And you see some countries around the world that are actually experimenting with changing that. I believe it was France has actually tried implementing a 4-day work week. And it's actually worked out quite well from what I've gathered. You know,
that would be great.
It would be nice. But the problem is, you know, American companies just won't go for it. If the government pushes something like that, then they'll say, okay, well, we'll do a 4-day work week, but you're going to be putting in 60 hours still. And there really isn't a 5-day work week anymore in the United States. You look at everything that's happening, people are working extremely long days, but then they're also working 7 days a week. And why are they doing that?
Because deadlines. Unrealistic deadlines.
Unrealistic deadlines, but they're also doing it because the company gives them a phone. So now you've got a phone that you can't turn off, you can't put down because the company's paying for that phone, so that the executive can call your boss, who can call you and say, I need you to come in and do this now. And it's utterly ridiculous how it's getting to be. But at some point, it's going to have to break. You know, there was back in the 20s and 30s, there were unions that saved people that were making nothing. I mean, we watched some of the shows on the History Channel there about the food that made us, you know, and they were talking about, they were talking about Hershey. Hershey was, you know, he was becoming extremely wealthy at the expense of not paying his employees much. You know, and I'm not saying that he was completely bad, because during the Depression he did everything he could to ensure his employees had money. But, you know, they also, you got a cat there?
No, that's my roommate. He's asleep.
Are you serious?
Poor guy's gotta get up at 8 in the morning tomorrow.
But it's only 7:30.
I don't know. He didn't sleep well last night.
Alrighty. But anyway.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So after the Depression and whatnot, Hershey's workers decided to go on strike because he was getting wealthier and wealthier, while they weren't getting any kind of, they weren't getting anything for all of their efforts. No raises, nothing like that. And he felt that they owed him because he made sure they had money throughout the Depression. You know, but that's the type of thing that happened back then. And that was for people who were hourly workers. At some point, it's going to end up happening again for people who are salaried. It's just getting to the point where companies are taking advantage of making somebody a salaried employee. So So it's just ridiculous how bad it's getting to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, well.
Yep.
So I added one more topic because I see that we're going through pretty darn quick.
What's this one?
So I just saw a commercial for some pill. I don't know what it is, but it's supposed to be for people. Yeah, this is like it's like a designer pill or something, just to be able to say that you're on a pill, right? So this is
pill.
That's what I'm going to call it. So they start talking about they're talking about people with sleep apnea, which personally I have, and they're talking about this pill. This pill can help you if you're always tired. This pill can help you sleep through the night, and this can do that, and it can do that, and
it's a miracle pill.
Yeah, and
so it's probably complete BS.
Yeah, and then it gets towards the end where they've got to where they go through all the side effects and everything like that, right? So after talking about how great this is, and they show this guy in the beginning who's just kind of sluggishly walking towards his desk in the office, and then at the end he's all excited and pumped up and he's wide awake and everything. And, it's like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay. So then they start saying, this does not replace your CPAP machine, and this can cause this and that, and it could make it so that you don't sleep as well, and it could cause a heart attack, including death. I'm like, wait a minute. So you want me to take this pill that's supposed to help me sleep better, but it could prevent me from sleeping better? And I've got apnea.
But it could kill you?
Yeah. So you've got apnea, you're using a CPAP machine, which, the idea behind that is it uses air pressure to keep your airway open. So I'm using this, and now you're telling me that this pill could just cause me to randomly have a heart attack in the middle of the night and not be able to do anything about it. That's brilliant. What am I taking a pill for? It does nothing. It doesn't help my apnea. It doesn't help anything. It just, seriously.
It's a placebo, but worse.
Yeah. And, they're probably going to charge the insurance companies $400 a month for the prescription. And of course, because it'll be a brand name with no generics, the insurance company is going to charge you $50 a month. It's just ridiculous. And I'm sure people are jumping all over it.
Of course they are, because people are stupid.
Yeah, and it's not the first one like that, and it won't be the last. But I saw that tonight, and I'm like, what's the point of taking a pill that's not going to, that could not only not help with your sleep, but could make it worse? Especially, when the whole point of taking the pill is to sleep better. Oh, it just kills me. Why in the world do we keep making these things?
Money.
Alrighty, folks. So I think you probably heard the music starting up in the background. You know what that means.
Good night.
We'll see ya.